Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. So, you're looking to get your Category B driver's license in Norway? If so, you probably already know there are quite a few hurdles to clear. But one of the biggest, most intimidating roadblocks for a lot of people is the theory test administered by Statens Vegvesen. It's notoriously strict, the margins to pass are razor thin, and the whole system is really designed to thoroughly test your real-world readiness. So today, we're going to break down the mechanics of this exact exam. Consider this your comprehensive guide to conquering the Norwegian driving theory test, making sure you walk into that testing center fully prepared for exactly what they're going to throw at you.
Okay, let's dive into this route map. We're going to cover 4 main stops today: getting to the exam format, the rules around passing and failing, and finally, your winning strategy.
All right, part 1, getting to the exam.
Look, before you even see a test question, you've got some administrative hurdles to clear. Now, the cool thing about the theory test at most trafikkstyrelsen or driver and vehicle licensing offices is that you generally don't need to look an appointment in advance. They have drop-in hours. But hold on, do not let that convenience fool you into showing up unprepared. You can't just use those drop-in hours without doing your homework first. You absolutely must have completely cleared 3 foundational steps in their system. Step 1, you have to formally submit your driver's license application. Step 2, that application triggers a mandatory police check regarding your conduct. And step 3, you've got to meet and get cleared for all the medical requirements. If this whole approval process isn't greenlit in their system, yeah, you won't be sitting for that exam, no matter how long you wait in the drop-in line. And guys, here is a massive wake-up call for those of us so used to living on our smartphones. When you show up to take this exam, absolutely no digital IDs are allowed. Even in a society as highly digital as Norway, the testing centers have a super strict rule. You literally must have a physical, government-issued document with you. So, what actually counts? You need to present a valid physical photo ID. Usually, the most common acceptable forms are a Norwegian bank card that actually has your picture on it, your passport, or a national ID card. Do not forget to bring one of those. Oh, and another quick thing, before the test even starts, you're required to pay the exam fee right there at the station. Most stations accept a standard debit card for this, so just have that ready.
Moving right along to part 2, the exam format. So you've paid your fee, they've verified your identity, and you sit down at the computer. What happens next? Well, the clock starts, and you have exactly 90 minutes. In that hour and a half, you need to answer 45 multiple-choice questions. Now, I know that might sound like a lot of pressure, but 90 minutes is generally considered to be plenty of time for anyone who's properly prepared. Seriously, you don't need to rush. You have time to read every single word carefully. So what exactly are you tackling in those 90 minutes? It's a completely digital exam where you have to select the single most correct answer from a few different options. In the content, it's a real mix. You're going to face real-world driving scenarios, you'll need to strictly identify traffic signs, and answer very specific technical rules about the vehicle itself. Plus, a ton of questions will include images or illustrations of traffic situations. And listen, these aren't just decorative. They require careful image analysis. You'll literally be looking at lane positioning, spotting signs hiding in the background, and figuring out right-of-way rules based strictly on visual cues. Just a quick side note too, you can choose to take this exam in English or Norwegian, and if you have reading difficulties or a language barrier, don't worry, you aren't left behind. You can apply for an assisted or adapted theory test. You just have to make sure to book those special slots well in advance.
All right, let's get into part 3, rules, pass, and fail.
Now we're getting into the really high-stakes portion of this explainer. This is where the strictness of the Norwegian system really shows its teeth. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how tight the margin of error is. To pass, you have to nail at least 38 out of 45 questions. That means you are allowed a maximum of only 7 errors. 7. If you make that 8th mistake, the system instantly records your attempt as a fail. There is absolutely no partial credit, and there is no grading curve. Pass or fail, plain and simple. The craziest part? The moment you submit your answers, boom, you get your result immediately. And the contrast between passing and failing is huge. If you pass, that result is golden. It stays valid for 3 whole years, giving you a massive window to take and pass your practical driving test. But if you fail, yeah, it's rough. You get hit with a mandatory 14-day quarantine period before you can even try taking the test again. And just to add a little financial sting to it, you have to repay the full exam fee for every single subsequent attempt. Now, if you do happen to fail and enter that 2-week quarantine, do not expect the system to just hand you the answer key. Statens Vegvesen closely guards the security and integrity of their question database. They are definitely not going to give you a list of the exact questions you got wrong. Instead, what you get is a thematic breakdown. The feedback will simply tell you which broad areas you struggled with. So for example, it might just say road signs or traffic rules. You have to use that very broad feedback to guide your studying during your 14-day timeout. And while we're on the topic of strict rules, we have to talk about how you act in the examination room. It is heavily monitored. I'm talking no textbooks, no notes, and absolutely zero mobile phones. Devices have to be turned off and locked away, and communicating with anyone else is totally prohibited. So the crucial point is this. Do not even think about cheating. Seriously. If you are caught using any unauthorized aids, your test is invalidated on the spot, and you could face an agonizing quarantine period of up to 11 months before you can take any driving-related exams again. It will completely derail your entire licensing process. Just don't do it.
Okay, let's shake off all that tension and move to part 4, your winning strategy.
So we know the rules, we know the format, and we definitely know the stakes. Let's talk strategy so you can walk out of that testing center on your very first try with a 3-year valid pass. Because this test covers everything from technical vehicle specs to complex right-of-way scenarios, you really need a unifying mental framework to help you out when you're unsure of an answer. Enter the safety first principle. The official exam questions are consistently designed to test this exact mindset. When you're faced with multiple options that all look kind of right, the correct answer is almost always the one that actively minimizes risk in that specific scenario. You aren't just proving you memorize the law, you're proving to them that you are a safe decision maker.
And this brilliantly illustrates how you should be approaching your overall study habits. A lot of people try to cheat the system by just grinding practice tests on third-party apps, hoping to just memorize the answers. Let me tell you, that is incredibly risky. The official exam questions are deliberately phrased differently than the ones on those apps. You cannot just memorize the what. You absolutely must understand the why behind the rules. If you really get the why, you can apply that knowledge to literally any weird visual scenario they throw on your screen during those 90 minutes. Which brings us to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself as you prep for the Category B theory test. Are you just trying to memorize a practice test, or are you actually making yourself ready for the real road? You know, the Norwegian testing process isn't strict just to punish you. It's strict to make sure everyone gets home safely. If you approach your studying with the goal of genuinely understanding the why and truly prioritizing safety, passing this exam is just going to be a natural byproduct of you becoming a solid, safe driver. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, good luck out there on the road.